All right, peace to the family, peace to the tribe. This is your brother, BroYosef. I'm back with another video. And in this video here, we're going to talk about who created us and why we were created. Okay, and who created us and why we're created. And this is a video that people have been asking me to do since I started my YouTube channel. And I kind of just been putting it to the side because I felt like there were more important things to talk about, to help you guys grow, right? So I kind of put it to the side because, at the time it just wasn't important. But, I got a lot of videos out the way that I put out that, you guys can watch, that I give books on, techniques, and it can help you guys grow. You know what I'm saying? So I'm BroYosef, I want you guys to understand, right? BroYosef's channel, New Life Tools, is more about giving you guys the tools you need. That's why I named it New Life Tools, which is my company, to give you guys the tools you need to evolve, right? And of course, there's more advanced tools and there's more things I could talk about in the future. But, I'm giving you guys a lot of information to help you guys evolve, okay? I'm about evolution. I'm not about just getting on YouTube sounding good. Anybody can do that, right? And that's the truth. Anybody can get on YouTube and just sound really good. And I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to get on YouTube and really give you guys tools that you can use by way of doing the work, that you can use to evolve yourself. All right. So I can get on here and talk about aliens and extraterrestrials and, demons and angels. We can get into all that, right? But how is that going to help evolve? Because I told you about a demon or an angel or aliens, right? I'm more about telling you things and techniques. Every now and then I'll share some experiences I had, to inspire you guys or stuff like that. But I'm more about giving you guys tools and giving you guys an explanation on things and helping you guys understand the things you need to evolve. Okay. That's what BroYosef is about, evolution. All right. So let's get into the video. All right. Let me see, is there anything else I want to talk about before I start the video? Because, this is going to be a good one. You guys are going to get a lot of good understanding on this. Also, I want to say for people who keep emailing me about consultations, once again, I'm not doing consultations right now. The consultations are down. I don't know when I'll start doing them again, but I won't be doing consultations for a while. Okay. I appreciate the love I'm getting. I appreciate the fact that people want to talk to me and they feel like I can help them. And I don't mind doing that, right? But I have a lot of other things I have to do right now in my life, and a lot of things I'm working on. And right now I just can't do consultations. Okay. But they will be coming back sooner or later. They will be coming back. Definitely sometime next year, or earlier. I don't know. We'll see. All right. We'll see. But right now, BroYosef is not doing consultations. When I start, I will do a video exclusively saying consultations are back. You know what I'm saying? So nobody misses it, because a lot of people miss the fact that I was doing consultations. So, I think that's everything. Also, people who ask me questions, I want you guys to understand I can't get back to all you guys all the time. I get literally, 70, 80, sometimes over 100 people sending me questions every day. Some people I know, so I talk to them a lot, and then the newer people, I try to catch them, but I can't get back to everybody's emails and Instagram messages every day. It just can't happen. So if you've been sending BroYosef messages and I haven't gotten back to you, I apologize. I just can't get to everybody. People who I've never seen before on Instagram or emails, I try to, especially Instagram. I respond quicker on Instagram. So people who hit me up on Instagram, I try. If you're new and I've never seen you before, I always try to hit you back. I try to. But if I haven't, forgive me. I'll just be busy and I can't get to everybody. All right. And some messages I just can't answer. There's too many every day. All right. But I love y'all and I appreciate y'all, for supporting me and supporting my channel. All right. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, giving y'all this information. All right. So let's get into the video. Right. To start the video out, the first thing I want you guys to understand is who are these people that created us? Were human beings actually created? And the answer is yes. Human beings were created, okay? Human beings were an experiment, okay? We were an experiment that a bunch of higher entities got together and they wanted to, they had an idea, right? And you know, and I'm not going to say they all got together, because some of them were kind of forced to give up their DNA and you know, and intermix it with ours. And we're going to get into that in this video. Now, before I start the video, this video is not for anybody to make anybody believe. You know, I have to tell you guys, like I told, like the great Dr. Blair said, don't come to me for truth. Come to me for information. You know, you find the truth for yourself. So just because BroYosef said it, don't make it truth. You decide what the truth is. This is BroYosef's truth. What I'm telling y'all is what I believe is true. Okay, I don't even say what I believe is what I know is true. And if you guys choose not to believe it, then it's okay. All right. Because I'm pretty sure some people may disagree, but it's okay. You know, we gonna get into it. So I got this information by way of channel, by way of being in the astral world, actually talking to different races, different people, different entities in the astral world, having conversations, talking to them. And also some of this information comes from my spiritual father directly. Okay. Some answers he gives me, some answers he makes me look for myself. He's like, you have the capability to find the answer for yourself. Go find it. So this is a mixture and a compiling of all those things together. All right. So to start the video out, once again, you know, I want you guys to understand that human beings were actually you know, we were created as almost like a thing where they wanted, I don't want to call it a test, but they wanted to see what would happen if they put entities with our mixture down here on the physical plane, right? And notice I didn't say physical world, I said physical plane, because I want you guys to understand the earth was first created itself was on the fourth dimension, right? And I'm talking about the real fourth dimension. And what happened was, at the vibration fell by way of the demiurge, as the vibration fell, we became more physical. So the first human beings on the planet, if you have their DNA, your DNA is literally, you're not a third dimensional being. You're a fourth dimensional being. You're actually more than that because of the makeup that you are. But you're a fourth dimensional being. You're created on that plane of existence, and you fell down. Okay, you fell down. So we are all the fallen ones, right? We all fell. So, or our ancestors did, right? And we are a futuristic version of them. So, you know, there were, and some of the stories going to line up with the Bible, because the Bible actually took some of the stories from the, you know, Enuma Elish and, you know, the Sumerian tablets, and a lot of information that Zachariah Sitchin. If you guys want to study more of this information, definitely go study Zachariah Sitchin's work. Dr. York did a lot of good work on this. Dr. York, Zachariah Sitchin. It's a lot of people out there that write about the Anonaki, which is what I'm getting ready to talk about. Yes, it's true. We were created by the Anonaki, or the first humans were, at least. So when they created us, human beings, without a shadow of a doubt, was first created to be slaves, right? And you know, the god Enki, you know, which is not his real name, but that's what we call him. We call him Enki. You know, Enki actually created the first humans, okay? Now, what I want you guys to understand is that there are different types of humans that were created, right? All come from the same makeup, but they were all created. Some of them were created in different ways, okay? So Enki had an idea to create humans, right? Without his father, Anu was the supreme god of the Sumerians. Without his father's permission, he decided to go off on his own and create humans, right? And once you do something like that in the universe, you create a whole nother species. You are responsible for that group of people or those entities. You are not responsible. You are now responsible for those people. Enki who was a scientist, he saw fit to help his race by creating another race, and keeping them on a certain level and only letting them evolve by way of the information that he gave them, and by allowing them to evolve by way of you know, his orders, right? So we were supposed to be a race that was controlled directly by Lord Enki. And for those who don't know about who Lord Enki is, I'm gonna break it down a little bit of the story about who him and his brother was, which I'm gonna get into a little later in Lil, right? And this is information I got from extraterrestrials themselves, also my higher self, different entities in the astral world, right? And this is my version of it put together, compiled. So there's a group of entities called the Anonaki. The Anonaki are entities who influence stretches all the way down to this third dimension, okay? Whose influence stretches all the way down to this third dimension. So, and I'm trying my best to not get too advanced. So if I keep pausing, I'm trying to find a way to explain this to you guys for you guys to understand. You know, that's what you guys love about my channel. I explain things so you guys can understand it. That's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to find a way to say things so you guys can understand it. So, with that being said, you know, when you look at the, with that being said, so the Anunnaki is a race, a very powerful race that's very ancient, and they deem themselves to be gods, but they're actually very advanced scientists, extraterrestrial groups that are from another dimension. Okay, and what Enki did, you know, because he was known as one of the greatest scientists of their people, he wanted to help his people evolve to a higher dimension because they couldn't get to the overworld, right? The Anunnakis are actually stuck on the higher heavens, right? They're stuck in the seventh and eighth dimensional, and they're, like I said, their influence stretches all the way down to the third dimension. So what happens is, Enki, whose father is Anu and his people got into a huge fight, right? They took over a lot of territory in different dimensions and universes. And one of the people they encountered who was almost as powerful as them, but not as powerful, was the Draconians, right? Who, now the Draconians have a lineage that stretches back to the Draco energy or the dragon energy, right? So they're very powerful. Like we talked about dragons, right? So their lineage literally stretches back to dragons, right? The Anunnaki's energy stretches back to some of the Omni Lords or Overlords, and also some of the you know, it's funny because you find a lot of these terms in comic books, right? So somebody in comic books actually know what they were talking about, but their energy stretches back to the gods, right, and the elder gods. So both energies are divine meaning godly, or very powerful primordial energy. Both of their essences come from primordial energy. So they fought, you know, they you know, the two people fought and the Anunnaki won. Okay, so just so the Anunnaki didn't fully destroy the Draconians, they made a truce. And what they did was they said, look, I'm going to give you my daughter, the king of the Draconians, or the queen of the Draconians, because they deal more with the feminine, the females running everything. The queen of the Draconians said, look, I'll give you my best daughter as your wife. And, you know, let's end this. Let's bring a portion of our people together. So Anu accepted it. He has a Draconian wife, and they have a child named Enki, right? Enki is half Draconian, half Anunnaki, and he created us, right? His brother Enlil is full-blooded Anunnaki. So there's always been a bumping of heads between the two brothers, and there's more of the family, but these are the two most famous characters. There's always been a bumping of the heads between the two brothers because Enlil feels more like, you know, he should have got the throne because he's full-blooded Anunnaki, but the firstborn, which is Enki, ended up getting the throne because even though he's half Draconian. So, you know, Enlil always felt some kind of way about that, right? So if you pay attention to the story, it also goes into Ishmael and Isaac, right? Even though Ishmael was the firstborn, you see what I'm saying? And then Isaac, for those who know the story. It sounds a lot like that story. So Enki was very intelligent and, you know, one of the best scientists of his people. So he created humans. Now, one thing I always tell people that, you know, if you look at your skin, right, your skin, it has scales on it, right? Your skin is very scaly, right? It literally has skin like a reptile, okay? You have a reptilian brain. You have all these different aspects of you that is very reptile-like, right? And what happens is Enki took some of his own personal DNA and the DNA of the conquered tribes, the other tribal extraterrestrial groups that they basically controlled, right? And they weren't a savage group that controlled people with a hammer. but they let people do what they want to do, but they wanted people to know, hey, we the OGs. Like we when we come around, we want respect. That's kind of how the Anunnaki work it. So they wasn't going over just, controlling people, doing all this stuff, but they owned certain aspects of certain people's culture, extraterrestrial culture. So what they did was they took some of the DNA that they already have from other groups, and they also mixed it with us. This is why you, as a child, as a baby in your mother's womb, you can breathe underwater, and you go through different stages where you actually are more female. For the first, I think it's the first 5 months or something like that, you're a female, and then if you're going to turn into a boy, you turn into a boy in your mother's stomach, and you're born into a sack of water, right, which is nothing but an egg. The womb is actually an egg that's inside of the woman, and you breathe inside of this fluid, right? And you swim, and you actually look like a tadpole the first few weeks of the pregnancy, and you're swimming around like a tadpole in your mother's stomach. So once again, back to the reptilian DNA, right? And you also, in certain stages of the pregnancy, you have a tail, right? So, and then you lose that, and then your feet grow, and your hands grow, and you breathing under this fluid once again, like a fish. And, so you have I'm not going to name all the groups, but some of the DNA aspects you have in you are the Greys, the reptilians, and the Anonaki. The Anonaki genes being the most dominant, the Anonaki and the reptilians, because their DNA is the most dominant. So you have over 20 groups of extraterrestrials actually, your DNA is actually made up of. Okay, that's the truth. Now, some groups have a little less. Some groups actually have no Anunnaki blood, right? Excuse me, they have no reptilian blood. And we're going to get into that in a second. So Enki went ahead, he created man in his own image and his own likeness. Sounds familiar, right? And he let them know, I am the only God. There's no other God above me or before me, which wasn't true, because he had a father named Anu. But to humans that he created, he seemed like he was the most powerful God. And because we're a young race, he took advantage of that, okay? And he put us to work. We started mining gold, silver, jewelry, all this stuff, and we was giving it back to the Anunnaki, right? Now, we were doing this still on a higher level, a higher dimensional level, fourth dimensional level. So, Enlil found out about what Enki did, and he told his father, right? He told his father. His father was very upset. So, his father didn't rush towards correcting Enki right away. So, what Enlil did, he said, I don't like what my brother did, and I don't like what he's doing to these human people down here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set them free, right? So he got with some of the hierarchy people in the Galactic Council, and Lucifer was actually an aspect of that. Lucifer was actually one of the members of that, right? And it wasn't Lucifer directly, but it was an entity that was an avatar for Lucifer. That's how powerful Lucifer was. Lucifer couldn't even come down directly to the meetings. He had to send his avatar down. Or she had to send her avatar down. So this avatar for Lucifer came down and had a lot of influence. It was extremely powerful. And this entity and Enlil actually worked together to help free man. Okay. Some stories say that Enlil hated man, or some stories may even say that Enlil created man. I'm giving you guys the story I was given. Okay. So Lucifer and Enlil help free man from Enki's bondage. And one thing that it did was it showed man that you are more than what your creator is telling you, right? And this goes into the snake in the Garden of Eden, right? So Enki set up this area on the physical plane that was kind of like an Eden. We call it Eden, but he set up this area where he had man, and man mined for him there. And, it wasn't like slavery, but they were still slaves, and man knew they were slaves, but they didn't know anything else. But they had all this potential inside of them. This is one thing that the entities in the cosmos love about humans, is that we're full of all this potential, and we don't even know it. And a lot of the entities just be looking at us like, man, these people only knew who they were and the potential they had, and they don't even know that one day they're supposed to run a universe, right? And we're going to get into that later. So Enki and Enlil, and if this cut off and I do a part 2, then I'll do a part 2. So Enki and Enlil got together, and Enlil and Lucifer, they got together, and they gave man knowledge, right? They told him about the tree, what you would call it, tree of life, tree of knowledge and good and evil. They showed man about his kundalini, which Enki didn't want them to know about, right? They showed man about their kundalini and how they can raise their vibration and how they can tap into their spirituality, and told them that they weren't just the servants of God, that you are actually just like him and you have the same powers as him. And because of all the things you're made up of and the essence that you have a real soul, you're actually more than him, right? So Enlil started on a journey of helping man, and Enki was mad about this when he found out what Enlil did. And he was angry at man, but he couldn't destroy him because now his father knew. You know what I'm saying? I knew that man was created and he couldn't just do away with us. So he kicked us out of the garden, or he kicked us away from the area that he had us, and he said, okay, go off on your own. He was upset. He was like, do whatever. You're going to have to do whatever you want to do without me, right? So what happened was, he couldn't destroy man because man, once you create something in the universe, you're responsible for it. So you just can't create this whole new person and then just destroy it. And he was wrong because he wasn't giving us the information that we needed right away. So, but he loved us at the same time. Like Enki loved man, absolutely. But he took advantage of us at first, okay? And to this day, Enki still loves man, right? But at first, Enki was a younger god back then, and he took advantage of us. He took advantage of the situation. Not to say that he was always going to do that, right? But he took advantage of the situation. So Enlil came through and, and helped free us to a degree with the help of Lucifer, okay? Lucifer brought us information. He helped with Enlil. They put other Anonaki down here to become like Christ Messiahs and to help us, to show us things. So they put people in India to become like gurus. They influence men. The Buddha was influenced by the Anonaki to reach enlightenment by way of working with his Kundalini energy and to show men how to do the same thing. This is why the Buddha said, don't worship me, because you can do the same thing I'm doing. On top of that, they put these people all around. So what happened was, Enki left and he came back and he started noticing like, man is getting really smart, because he didn't think that the information his brother gave him men would grow so fast, but he forgot about the potential that we had, So he started to study us more and he found out that, and at this time, man was all together, right? Man was all one mind, one heart. We all believed in the same thing. And what happened was we became so advanced in our information, which Enlil didn't care about. We became so advanced in our information that, what Enki decided to do was come down and separate our language, right? See, he decided to separate man. When he did this, Enlil decided to create his own man also, right? Enlil came down, he said, you know what? I'm going to create my own man, and he's going to be more of an Anonaki. He's going to have some other traits of other extraterrestrials, but he's going to be more Anonaki. These people go more into the Dravidians, the people in India, right? Who still are melanated, heavy melanated, but, their features are slightly different. Right? Some of them have red hair, black hair. And Enlil took these people and he also helped set up what you call immortal councils around the planet. He set up secret societies and schools and stuff around the planet. And so Enki was very upset because he's like, yo, I created man already. What are you doing? Why are you interfering with what I'm doing down here? So now, as this happens, Anu comes down. Anu sees what's going on between the two brothers, how they're fighting, and he gets upset and say, I'm going to just tear all this shit up. Since y'all want to fight about it, I'm just going to take man out 100%. Enki was upset about that. Enlil was upset about that also. So this is where the Great Flood goes into. Anu was like, just take man out, we're going to go somewhere else and do something else. The earth was flooded, okay? A great flood happened, but a lot of the people on the planet were saved by their gods, which will be Enlil or Enki. So man, a lot of men were killed off, right? A great flood happened. And from what I was told, the flood was so high, like the biggest, tallest mountain in this world, like would have been submerged in this water. Like everything was flooded. Like the whole earth was flooded. Man was taken out. So I knew thought and I knew left, right? Nubaru got up out of here. As the waters, as the water went down and everything, what happened was Enlil and Enki started their, they had a lot of people already stashed away. And I'm not going to say Noah's Ark because that's not actually what happened. They didn't go on a boat and sail the seven seas into the water, till the water fell down. Enki actually took them in the ship, right? Enki actually took them. And then Lil took some of the people into the inner earth, right? So Enki took his people in the ship, up in the ship with him, a certain aspect of them, in their craft. And then Enlil went into the inside of the earth until the water left, right? When everything settled back down, they brought their people back on the earth. And this is where you get into Lemuria and Atlantis starting up. They let their people go back and they sat back and they watched them to see what they would do with the information they taught them over the years. They built these great civilizations, right? Because remember, their language was already separated. So they had two groups now, different sides of the planet, where they were doing their own thing. So what happened was, man started to grow, man started to advance. And Enki fell more in love with us. Okay, Enki fell more in love with his people. And what happened was there were an aspect of Enki's group that really hated how advanced we were becoming. They got afraid of us. They were very angry that we were created and they kept it in the background. But what they decided to do, because Enki had his own group of people and his own tribe of people, and Lil had his own tribe of people that was doing their own thing, all about spirituality and stuff like that. And Lil's people was more about, the earth and using nature, right? So this is Enlil will be known also as the god of Geb in Egypt, right? He's actually is Geb in Egypt. And he was more about the earth. Okay. Enki was more about high level science and, in certain aspects of spirituality that had a lot to do with the interstellar, extraterrestrial, out of this world type of information. He was more about teaching his people that type of stuff. And so, because he was also teaching his people a lot of the same things that Enlil was teaching, but Enlil was more about shamanism, earthly, and stuff like that, and using alchemy from that perspective. And Enki was more about high level spirituality and having people's minds out there in the cosmos, alchemy type of stuff. He was more about that, right? So they both were teaching their people spirituality, but it was different schools in different ways. So if you look at it, Enlil, his people will be more connected to people like the Olmec people, on into the Mayans, the people who built the pyramids with the flat top, and they were dealing with astronomy, right? They dealt more with astronomy, and they dealt with that science. And then Enki, his people will be more dealing with the Egyptians, who still merged with nature, but they were more about the Netaru and, saying they were from Sirius. The people were from Sirius, which they did have aspects of their DNA. And Enki's people dealt more with that. They were more out of this world and high level masters all around. Because remember, Enki was a better scientist. He was a little bit more smarter than Enlil. But Enlil was more about the earth and using nature to evolve. Enki was more about using technology and spiritual technology to evolve. Enlil was more about using earthly technology to evolve. And they both are powerful things, right? You can't really say one is better than the other, depending on who's teaching what. So they're both building these societies. I'm skipping a lot of stuff. I'm trying to give y'all the overall idea of what's going on. They both build these societies. And what happened was, like I said, Enki who had a bigger tribe of people on his side. Some of his people was angry about man because we were advancing so much. And they were afraid that they were going to have to bow down to us one day, right? They were afraid of that. So they broke away. They broke away from Inky, and some of these are actually his own family members. They broke away, and and you know what, y'all? I'm gonna stop this, and we're gonna do a part 2, okay? And we're gonna get into what happened next. All right. So part 2 coming.